The desert world of East was endless. Golden dunes stretched to the horizon where the hot sun turned the sky into a burning sheet. The wind carried dry sand across the ground, whispering like hidden voices. For generations, the people of East had spoken about a buried tomb deep beneath the desert. They called it the resting place of the forgotten Pharaoh. No one dared to search for it, because the stories said those who entered never returned. Aaron stood on the dune, his boots sinking in the sand as he looked down at the excavation site. He was young, not yet scarred by years of failure, and his eyes held both excitement and caution. He had studied the ancient signs and maps that others ignored. To him, the tomb was not only a mystery but also a promise. If humans could uncover the secrets of Aesth, they might prove their place among the stars. The camp below was small, with only a handful of workers and machines. Two other humans, Myra and Tamash, worked alongside him. They trusted Aaron's knowledge, though even they had doubts. The alien guides who lived on Aesth refused to help dig. They stood far from the site, their tall figures wrapped in long desert cloth. They warned the humans to leave the sands untouched. Their leader, a gray-skinned elder named Rul, had spoken firmly, "What sleeps beneath should never wake." But Aaron could not turn away. His heart pushed him forward every time he thought of giving up. Something inside called him, a voice that was not loud but steady. He could not explain it, but he felt that he was meant to find whatever lay buried. The humans worked for days under the burning sun. They uncovered broken walls carved with strange symbols that did not match any known language. Myra sketched the patterns into her book while Tamash set up scanners to measure the depth of the buried structure. Each hour the mystery grew deeper. It was as if the desert itself wanted to keep its secret. One evening, the wind howled stronger than before. The sand shifted quickly, and a hidden stone entrance revealed itself at the base of the dune. It was a dark square door, sealed with slabs heavier than any man could move. The alien guides gasped when they saw it. Rul stepped back, shaking his head. "Close it again. Do not touch that door," he warned. His voice trembled in fear. Aaron ignored the warning. With the help of machines, the slabs were pulled aside, revealing a passage that led underground. The air that escaped was dry and cold, carrying a strange metallic scent. Myra whispered, "This is not like any tomb I have seen." Tamash nodded, uneasy but curious. Torches were lit, and the three humans entered the passage. The walls glowed faintly as if they had been waiting for light. Carvings of tall figures wearing crowns stretched along the stone, their eyes inlaid with dark gems. The deeper they went, the heavier the silence grew. Even their footsteps seemed swallowed by the air. At last, they entered a grand chamber. The ceiling rose high, and the walls curved into perfect arches. In the center stood a stone throne, untouched by time. Upon it rested a golden mask shaped like the face of a ruler. The mask shone even in the dim light, its surface smooth yet powerful. It looked as if it had been placed there yesterday, though centuries must have passed. The humans froze in awe. Myra whispered, "It is beautiful." Tamash frowned. "No metal should shine like that after so long. This is wrong." Aaron stepped closer. The mask seemed to call him. It was not a sound, but a pull in his chest, a silent demand that he come forward. His hand trembled as he reached out. Behind him, Rul cried from the passage, "Do not touch it, human. That mask belongs to a king who should never rise again." Aaron paused but did not step back. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. He placed his hand on the mask. The instant he touched it, the chamber rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the carvings on the walls lit with bright golden lines. The air grew heavy, almost alive. The throne shook, and the mask rose slowly into the air, turning toward Aaron. Its hollow eyes glowed with a deep golden light. The ground trembled as if the tomb itself was awakening after endless sleep. Myra shouted in panic. Tamash tried to pull Aaron away, but the mask's glow wrapped around his hand like fire and light. The chamber's silence broke with a voice, deep and commanding, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. "Who dares disturb the rest of the Pharaoh?" The words shook the walls. Aaron stood frozen, his heart pounding. He wanted to speak but could not. The mask hovered in front of him, glowing brighter. The forgotten Pharaoh had awakened. The golden mask floated in the air, glowing brighter with every breath. The chamber that had been silent for centuries now hummed with a strange energy. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the carvings along the walls pulsed with golden light, as if the stones themselves were alive. Aaron's hand still burned from the moment he touched the mask. It was not pain like fire, but a heavy warmth that sank into his skin and into his chest. His heart raced, yet he could not look away. He felt as if invisible strings bound him to the mask. Behind him, Myra and Tamash shouted. Myra called his name again and again, her voice trembling with fear. Tamash pulled at Aaron's arm, but it was like trying to move a mountain. Aaron's body stood frozen, locked in place by something far greater than his own strength. The voice came again. It was deep, powerful, and filled with command. "Who wakes the Pharaoh from his slumber?" The sound was not only in the chamber. It echoed inside their minds, as if the voice had no need of air. Even Myra and Tamash stumbled back, covering their ears though it did no good. Aaron finally found his voice. His lips moved though he felt no control over them. "I am Aaron," he said. His voice shook, but the words carried into the chamber like a loud proclamation. "I am human." For a moment, silence returned. The mask hovered higher, and from the golden light a shape began to form. Dust swirled in the air, gathering into the figure of a tall being clad in armor. The armor was carved with symbols that glowed faintly, and in the center of the figure's chest burned a golden gem. The face of the being was hidden behind the mask, now resting upon it as if it had always belonged there. Two bright golden eyes looked down at Aaron. The figure straightened its shoulders and spread its hands wide. "I am the Pharaoh of the eternal dunes," the voice declared. "I ruled the stars when your kind still feared the night. Who dares speak to me without bowing?" Myra gasped. She fell to her knees out of terror. Tamash pulled her up quickly, whispering that they must leave. But Aaron did not kneel. His legs shook, his throat dry, but he remained standing. The golden eyes fixed on him. "You do not bow," the Pharaoh said, his voice both surprised and cold. "The small ones of this world always bowed before me. Why do you stand?" Aaron swallowed hard. His fear told him to drop to the floor, but something deeper told him to resist. "Because I am human," he said slowly. "I do not know you, and I do not serve you." The words echoed in the chamber. Myra gasped, and Tamash grabbed Aaron's sleeve, whispering in panic, "Are you mad? He will kill us." The Pharaoh tilted his head. His golden eyes narrowed. Then, after a long silence, a strange sound filled the chamber. It was not anger. It was laughter. Deep, heavy laughter that shook the air. "You have courage," the Pharaoh said. "Strange courage. No one has spoken to me so in countless ages. Tell me, human Aaron, why did the mask call to you?" Aaron shook his head. "I do not know. I only felt that I had to come here. I had to see what was buried." The Pharaoh raised his hands, and the golden lines on the walls grew brighter. Images appeared on the stone like living paintings. They showed fleets of ships crossing the stars, vast armies kneeling, and a golden throne rising high above worlds. The Pharaoh's voice grew heavy with pride. "I was ruler of the eternal dunes," he said. "My people built empires, my soldiers conquered worlds, my crown was feared beyond the edge of sight. But they betrayed me. They feared my strength, so they sealed me within this tomb. They buried me with my crown, my mask, my power. They swore that none would ever awaken me. His voice hardened, and the air trembled. And yet, here you stand, a creature I do not know, from a people I do not recall. The mask has chosen you. That should be impossible. Myra stepped forward, trembling. We did not mean to wake you. Please, release us. We only wanted to learn. The Pharaoh turned his glowing eyes toward her, and she fell silent under his gaze. He looked back at Aaron. No, human. You are not free. The mask has bound itself to you. It cannot be undone. Aaron's chest tightened. He looked at the golden mask glowing on the Pharaoh's face. He wanted to tear it away, to free himself from its pull, but he knew it was no use. The mask had chosen him. The ground shook again, louder than before. From the passage above, voices shouted in fear. The alien guides had seen the golden light escape the tomb, and their cries filled the air. The Pharaoh rises. The Pharaoh lives. The Pharaoh lifted his arms. His armor glowed as the chamber itself seemed to bend to his will. They remember me, he said. They still fear me. And now, through you, my empire shall rise again. Aaron clenched his fists. He felt the pull of the mask deep in his chest, like chains wrapped around his heart. He did not know what the Pharaoh truly wanted, but he understood one thing. His life was no longer his own. The forgotten Pharaoh had returned, and he had chosen a human to be part of his rise. The golden chamber glowed as if the walls themselves were alive. The Pharaoh stood tall, his mask shining with power, while Aaron struggled to steady his breath. The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone inside the tomb. Myra and Tamash stayed close to the entrance, ready to run, yet they could not leave without Aaron. He remained frozen before the Pharaoh, bound by the strange pull of the mask. The ruler's golden eyes burned like twin suns. His voice filled the chamber, heavy with pride and sorrow. You wake me after countless ages. You do not know me, human, yet the mask has chosen you. If you are to bear my mark, then you must know my story. The air shimmered, and golden lines spread across the stone walls. They twisted into moving images, bright and clear like living paintings. Myra gasped in awe, and Tamash whispered, "This is no trick of light. This is memory." Aaron's eyes fixed on the glowing walls. The first image showed great cities rising across desert worlds. Tall towers shone beneath twin suns, and endless rivers of workers built monuments higher than mountains. At the center of each world stood a golden throne, rising like the heart of the empire. The Pharaoh's voice carried over the visions. I was crowned ruler of the eternal dunes. My people were strong, my armies without rival. I gave them order, law, and glory. I stretched my hand across the stars, and every world I touched bent the knee. None resisted me for long. My fleets burned bright across the void, and my throne was never empty. The walls shifted, showing fleets of shining ships soaring through black space. They fired golden beams that shattered enemy vessels like glass. Soldiers in armor bowed before a colossal figure wearing the very mask that now glowed on the Pharaoh's face. I promised my people eternity, the Pharaoh continued. His voice grew colder, sharper. I saw that death was our greatest enemy. Even kings fall, and empires with them. But I refused to accept such weakness. I sought a way to endure forever. The visions darkened. Golden towers turned into laboratories filled with glowing crystals and strange machines. Beings lay on slabs as energy poured into them. Some rose stronger, while others crumbled into dust. Shadows gathered, and whispers filled the chamber. My counsel betrayed me, the Pharaoh said, his voice like iron. They feared my search for immortality. They called me a tyrant, a danger to all life. They plotted against me, and when my strength was divided, they struck. The walls shifted again. Armies clashed in deserts of fire. Ships turned their weapons on their own fleets. The pharaoh stood alone on a battlefield, his mask glowing as he unleashed storms of light that swept away entire legions. But even he could not fight forever. His own people rose against him, countless in number, until at last he was brought down. "They did not kill me," he said bitterly. "They feared that even death would not end my reign. So they buried me, alive, bound with the mask that was both my crown and my prison. They swore that none would free me, and they sealed this tomb so tightly that no creature of this world dared enter." Silence filled the chamber once more. The glowing images faded, leaving only the golden light of the mask. Myra whispered, her voice trembling, "You were their king, but they turned against you. Perhaps they feared you for good reason." The pharaoh turned his eyes toward her, and she shrank back under his gaze. "Fear is the price of power," he said. "I gave them greatness, yet they chose betrayal. They thought they ended me. But now, through this human, I rise again." Aaron's voice finally broke the silence. He spoke slowly, careful not to show the fear burning inside him. "You said the mask chose me. Why? I am not one of your people." The pharaoh tilted his head, studying him with a long, searching stare. "That is the question I cannot answer. The mask was forged in my age, built to obey only my blood and my will. Yet it reached for you. It clings to you as it once clung to me. Perhaps it sees in you a spark that I cannot see. Or perhaps time itself has changed the mask's judgment." Aaron looked down at his hands. They still glowed faintly with golden traces from when he touched the mask. His chest felt heavy, as if the relic had planted a seed inside him. He did not know if it was a gift or a curse. Tamash stepped forward, his voice low but steady. "If this is true, then it means the mask no longer belongs to you, Pharaoh. It belongs to Aaron." The chamber fell silent again. The pharaoh's golden eyes narrowed, yet he did not strike. Instead, he gave a slow, heavy laugh that echoed against the walls. "You are bold, human. But remember, this power does not belong to those who hold it. Power belongs to those who can wield it. The mask may rest with Aaron, but I am the pharaoh, and I do not share my throne." Aaron's heart pounded as the words sank in. He could feel the pharaoh's power pressing against him like a storm, yet he also felt the mask stir within him, as if it was waiting for his choice. The forgotten history was no longer just a story. It was alive, and it had bound itself to a human who never asked for it. The desert winds outside howled louder than before. The golden light from the tomb had risen into the sky like a signal fire. Far across the dunes, many eyes had seen it. For the people of Unearthed, it was a warning that the forgotten pharaoh had awakened. Fear spread quickly, and old whispers returned to life. Inside the tomb, Aaron still stood facing the pharaoh. Myra and Tamash stayed close to him, their fear growing with every breath. The heavy silence broke when shouts echoed from the entrance. Alien voices filled the passage, rough and angry. Rul, the gray-skinned elder who had warned them before, now returned with many others. Their tall figures were wrapped in desert cloth, and each carried a weapon shaped from black stone. Rul's eyes burned with both fear and fury. He raised his hand, pointing at the pharaoh. "You should have listened, human. Now you have done what none dared. You have freed the tyrant." The other aliens lifted their weapons, the points glowing faintly as if they were charged with ancient energy. They stepped into the chamber but kept their distance from the throne. Even armed, they trembled at the sight of the glowing mask. The pharaoh did not move. His golden eyes narrowed as he looked at them. "You remember me," he said slowly. His voice filled the room, shaking the walls. "You feared me long ago, and you fear me still." One of the aliens shouted, "You will not rise again, Pharaoh. Not while we breathe." Aaron felt the pull of the mask grow stronger in his chest, as if it wanted him to step forward. He shook his head, trying to resist, but his hand lifted slightly without his will. Myra saw it and grabbed his arm, whispering, "Aaron, do not let it take you." Rul's sharp eyes caught the movement. His voice grew harder. "The mask has chosen him," he said. "This is worse than I feared. If the mask has bound itself to a human, then it is not only Ace that will suffer. All the stars will burn again." Aaron's chest tightened. He had not asked for this. He had only wanted to uncover history, not to carry its burden. "I do not want this," he said, his voice breaking. "I did not come here to rule or to fight." The Pharaoh turned toward him, his tall figure casting a long shadow. "You cannot refuse, human. The mask has already chosen. Your life is no longer your own." The aliens moved closer, their weapons raised. Rul's voice was sharp as a blade. "Step away from the mask, boy. Hand it over. We will destroy it, and we will end this curse before it spreads again." Aaron felt his hand tremble. He wanted to take the mask and throw it at their feet. He wanted to be free. But when he tried, the golden glow tightened around him. The mask refused to release him. Instead, its light spread across his arm like flowing fire. Myra cried out, "It will not let go of him." The Pharaoh laughed, a deep sound that made the aliens step back in fear. "You cannot destroy it," he said. "The mask is eternal. It was forged to outlast kingdoms and even time itself. Now it has chosen the human, and none of you can change that." The chamber filled with tension. The aliens prepared to strike, but the fear in their eyes showed they did not fully believe in their chances. They knew the mask's power. Their ancestors had seen it before. Aaron's voice shook as he spoke. "I do not want to be your weapon. I am human, and I choose my own path." The mask flared with light, wrapping him in a faint glow. The Pharaoh's eyes widened slightly. "Strange," he whispered. "Even while bound, you resist me. Perhaps the mask sees more in you than I understood." Rul gave a sharp order, and his warriors spread out across the chamber. Their weapons glowed brighter as they prepared to strike. "Human," Rul said firmly, "if you will not step away, then we will cut you down with him. Better one death than the return of his empire." Myra stepped in front of Aaron, her hands shaking but her voice firm. "No. He is not your enemy. He is one of us, and he never asked for this." The Pharaoh looked down at her, then at Aaron, and his laughter echoed again. "You see, human. Even your fragile kind will stand beside you in the face of death. This is new to me. My people once knelt before me in fear, but yours resist and protect one another. How curious." The glow of the mask pulsed in time with Aaron's heartbeat. He could feel its weight, but also its strange energy, like a sleeping storm waiting to be unleashed. The aliens stood ready to strike, the Pharaoh's power stirred, and Aaron stood trapped between them all. He realized then that he could not escape this path. The mask had chosen him, and now every world might be watching to see what he would do. The challenge had begun. The chamber felt like a storm about to break. The alien warriors stood in a half-circle, their black stone weapons glowing with dangerous energy. Rul, their elder, raised his hand, his voice hard as the desert wind. "Strike now. End the Pharaoh and the one he has bound before the curse spreads." The warriors took a step forward. Myra clung to Aaron's arm, whispering, "Do not let them take you." Tamasha's eyes darted between the aliens and the Pharaoh, searching for any way to escape. The Pharaoh stood calmly on his throne, golden eyes glowing with quiet power. He did not move to protect Aaron, nor to strike the aliens. Instead, he watched with interest, as though waiting to see what the human would do. Aaron's heart pounded. He could feel the mask inside him, not on his face but in his chest, like a fire that would not go out. It pulled at him, urging him to fight, urging him to give in and let the Pharaoh's power flow. But Aaron clenched his fists. "I am not your weapon," he whispered to himself. The first alien warrior lunged forward, raising his weapon high. Instinct forced Aaron to lift his hand. Golden light flashed from his palm, striking the weapon and throwing the warrior back across the chamber. The others stopped in shock. Aaron stared at his hand, trembling. "I did not mean to," he said, voice breaking. But the mask's glow pulsed again, as if it had only begun. The Pharaoh's deep laugh filled the chamber. "Yes, human. You feel it now. Even without my command, the mask answers you. Do you see how easily they fall before its light?" Aaron shook his head, refusing to listen. He stepped forward, placing himself between Myra, Tamash, and the advancing aliens. His voice was unsteady but loud. "I will not be your Pharaoh. I am not here to rule. But I will not let anyone decide my fate for me, not you, not him." The aliens hesitated. They had expected fear, or blind obedience to the Pharaoh. Instead, they saw a human standing tall, glowing with a power that should have consumed him but had not. Rul's eyes narrowed. "You think you can control it? That mask has broken kings greater than you. It will devour you, piece by piece, until nothing remains." Aaron met his gaze. "Maybe. But I am still human. And humans do not kneel to fear. We fight it." The words carried across the chamber, striking deeper than the golden light. Myra and Tamash straightened behind him, courage returning to their eyes. Even some of the alien warriors shifted uneasily, as if the humans' defiance stirred doubt in their hearts. The Pharaoh leaned forward on his throne, his golden eyes fixed on Aaron. "Strange creature," he said softly. "You stand against both my enemies and against me. You resist the mask even as it binds you. In all my years, none of my people ever dared speak so to me." Aaron turned toward him, voice strong despite the fear burning inside. "Maybe that is why your people rose against you. You ruled through fear, but fear does not last. My people, we fight for each other. That is what makes us strong." For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Even the alien warriors lowered their weapons slightly, watching the exchange with wide eyes. The Pharaoh slowly rose to his feet. His tall figure towered over all of them, yet there was no anger in his movement. Instead, his voice carried something different, something almost curious. "Then show me, human. Show me the strength you claim your kind possesses." The aliens tensed again, but Rul lifted his hand, holding them back. His sharp eyes stayed on Aaron. "If the human is truly chosen, then perhaps his fate will decide more than ours. But if he fails, we end them both." The ground shook faintly as the Pharaoh raised his arm. Golden energy spread across the chamber, forming shapes in the air. Illusions of battles appeared, warriors charging, flames rising, shadows swarming. Aaron stood in the middle of it all, his friends at his side, while the Pharaoh's voice echoed like thunder. "This is the test, Aaron of humans. Will you bow, or will you stand? Will you surrender to fear, or will you defy it even when the weight of history crushes you?" The illusions closed in. Aaron felt the pull of the mask again, urging him to strike, urging him to unleash its fury. But he tightened his fists, forcing himself to stay calm. He remembered Myra's trembling voice, Tamash's sharp courage, and the simple truth of his kind. He shouted, his voice breaking through the roar of the illusions, "I am human. I do not bow." The golden light inside him flared brighter than before, not wild and uncontrolled, but steady and strong. The illusions shattered like broken glass, leaving the chamber silent once more. The Pharaoh stared at him, golden eyes wide. Slowly, a heavy laugh rumbled from his chest. "You are unlike any I have known," he said. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than I imagined." The alien warriors lowered their weapons completely now, uncertain of what they had just witnessed. Rul's sharp gaze remained on Aaron, filled with both suspicion and a strange respect. Aaron stood tall, his chest heaving, the glow of the mask fading slowly from his skin. He had not surrendered to fear, nor to the Pharaoh. He had stood as himself. For the first time, the forgotten Pharaoh looked at a human not as a servant, nor as an enemy, but as something new, something even he could not fully understand. The chamber was quiet, though the silence was heavy with questions. The alien warriors had lowered their weapons, unsure of what they had witnessed. Aaron stood breathing hard, sweat running down his face, but the glow of the mask had faded to a faint shimmer on his skin. Myra and Tamash remained close behind him, their eyes wide with fear and pride. The Pharaoh stared at Aaron for a long moment. His golden eyes burned brighter than before, not with anger but with interest. "You stood against my trial," he said, his deep voice filling the chamber. "You resisted the mask and yet wielded it without surrender. No king I knew could do what you have done." Aaron's fists clenched at his sides. He looked at the tall figure and said firmly, "I am not here to be your king. I am not here to rule anyone. I am human, and I will not let you use me." The Pharaoh tilted his head. A slow, heavy laugh rolled from his chest. "Strange words. You remind me of what I once thought before I reached for eternity. Perhaps your kind carries something mine never did." Rul stepped forward now, his grey face lined with years of fear and memory. "Do not be fooled, human," he warned. "The mask is a prison and a weapon. It cannot be trusted. Already it flows through you. The longer you hold it, the more it will claim you." Aaron wanted to believe that. He wanted to cast the mask aside, but when he tried to imagine letting it go, he felt the same pull as before, like chains bound to his chest. He shook his head. "It will not release me. I can feel it. But maybe I can control it." The alien warriors murmured in disbelief. To them, the mask was death itself, a shadow that haunted their history. For a simple human to speak of control seemed madness. The Pharaoh raised his arm, and the chamber trembled. "If you wish to control it, then face what comes. My enemies will not stop with words. They will bring armies to bury me again. And now they will bring them for you as well." The ground shook harder. Dust fell from the ceiling as distant thunder rolled through the desert above. Tamash ran to the entrance and looked out. His face turned pale. "They are coming," he whispered. "Hundreds, maybe more. Armed with machines." Rul's expression hardened. "The clans have seen the light. They have gathered to destroy the Pharaoh before he can rise again. Human, they will not spare you. They will strike you down as his servant." Myra gripped Aaron's arm. "We cannot fight an army. We have to run." Aaron's chest tightened. He looked at his friends, then at the Pharaoh, who stood unshaken on his throne. "If we run, they will hunt us forever. If we stay, they will kill us. Either way, we cannot escape." The mask stirred within him again, stronger than before. His skin glowed faintly, and the golden fire in his chest pulsed with each beat of his heart. He felt power waiting to be released, like a river behind a gate. The Pharaoh stepped closer, his towering figure casting a shadow over Aaron. "Put on the mask," he commanded. "Let it claim you, and no army will stand in your way. Through its power, you can crush them." Aaron shook his head, teeth clenched. "I will not be your puppet." The Pharaoh's eyes narrowed, but then a smile curved across his masked face. "Then do not wear it as my servant. Wear it as yourself. Show me what a human can do with power even kings could not master." The sound of marching feet grew louder from outside. The ground rumbled with the approach of war machines. The alien clans had surrounded the site. Their voices rose in chants of old curses, calling for the end of the Pharaoh once more. Aaron closed his eyes. His hands trembled, but he stepped forward to the throne. Myra cried out, Aaron, wait. Tamash shouted, think before you do this. But Aaron only whispered, I cannot let them decide who I am. He lifted the mask. The golden light flared, searing his skin, but he forced it onto his face. For a moment he thought he would be consumed, that his mind would be drowned in endless fire. But instead of breaking, he felt the storm bend to his will. The mask's glow flowed through him, not as chains, but as armor. Golden energy burst from his body, filling the chamber with blinding light. The walls shook, the carvings glowed, and even the pharaoh stepped back in surprise. Outside, the approaching warriors stopped as the ground beneath them split with golden cracks. A shield of light rose around the tomb, glowing like the sun itself. Their weapons struck against it but shattered like glass. Aaron's voice echoed, stronger than he had ever heard it. I will not be your ruler, he said, facing both the pharaoh and the aliens. But I will not be destroyed. I am human, and I will stand. The alien warriors fell back, shielding their eyes from the light. The clans that had come with chance of victory now stared in fear and disbelief. They had seen the mask before, but never like this. The pharaoh looked at Aaron, his deep laugh rumbling again. So the mask bends to you, human. It does not devour you. Perhaps you are more dangerous than I ever was. The golden light dimmed slightly, but Aaron stood tall, his chest heaving. For the first time, he felt not just the burden of the mask, but also its strength under his command. The battle for the tomb had only begun, but in that moment, the aliens realized the truth. The mask no longer belonged to the pharaoh. It belonged to the human who had defied fear itself. The tomb shook with the weight of battle. Outside, the clans of East filled the dunes, their weapons striking against the golden barrier that Aaron had raised. Each strike sent waves of energy across the shield, yet it held firm. The desert sky burned with dust and light, as if the world itself was watching. Inside the chamber, Aaron stood with the mask glowing on his face. His body trembled under the power flowing through him, but his will held steady. Myra and Tamash stood behind him, their fear mixed with awe. The alien warriors who had entered earlier now stayed back, unsure whether to fight or to bow. The pharaoh, tall and silent, stepped down from his throne. His golden eyes glowed as he studied the human. You wear it and do not fall, he said slowly. I see strength in you that even I did not possess. The mask bends to your will as though it was waiting for you. Aaron turned his head toward the towering figure. His voice came through the mask, firm but human. I told you, I am not here to rule. I will not raise your empire. I will not conquer for you. The pharaoh's laughter echoed, though softer than before. Strange human. You speak of freedom, yet you wield a crown older than your world. Do you not see? With its power, you could be greater than kings. You could command armies beyond number. Aaron shook his head. That is not what makes us strong. Power is not enough. My people endure because we stand for each other, not above each other. That is what you never understood. The pharaoh grew silent. His golden mask tilted as if weighing the words. At last he said, perhaps you are right. Perhaps that is why my empire fell. I ruled with fear, but fear only lasts until courage rises. The sounds of the clans outside grew louder. The golden barrier flickered under their assault. Myra shouted, Aaron, they will break through soon. What do we do? Aaron closed his eyes. The mask's energy surged inside him like a storm. He could unleash it and burn the armies to ash. He could crush them all, just as the pharaoh once had. But deep in his heart, he knew that was not the path he wanted. He turned to face the pharaoh. You have a choice, Aaron said. You can try to take back your throne and bring war to every world. Or you can end it here. You can leave this mask with me, and let your story rest. The chamber filled with silence. The pharaoh's golden eyes narrowed, but there was no anger in them. Instead, there was something older tiredness. He stepped closer, towering over Aaron. You would have me vanish? After all that I built. After all that I endured. Aaron met his gaze without fear. You called yourself eternal, but nothing lasts forever. Not empires. Not kings. What lasts is the memory of what you leave behind. You can choose how your story ends. The words struck deeper than weapons. The pharaoh's tall figure stood still, his hands trembling slightly. For the first time, his voice lost its sharp edge. When I was buried, I thought only of revenge. I dreamed of rising again, of bending the stars to my will. But now, seeing you, I wonder if my time has truly ended. Outside, the clans chanted louder, preparing for a final assault. The barrier cracked with golden sparks. Myra clutched Tamash's arm, both bracing for what would come. The pharaoh raised his head high. His voice carried through the chamber, heavy with finality. Perhaps my empire has ended, but yours has just begun. He lifted his hands, and the golden glow around him grew brighter. The mask on Aaron's face pulsed once, then dimmed. Energy flowed from the pharaoh into the walls, into the stone, into the very sands of Unearthed. The carvings lit up one last time before fading. The tall figure's armor crumbled into dust, and his voice echoed softly, "Guard it well, human." Then the pharaoh was gone, leaving only sand where he had stood. The golden barrier outside shattered, but the armies froze. They expected fire, destruction, or wrath. Instead, they saw a human step forward from the tomb, the mask glowing faintly in his hands. Aaron did not raise it to threaten them. He held it like a burden, not a weapon. Rul stepped forward from the clans, his sharp eyes filled with disbelief. The pharaoh is gone. Aaron nodded. Yes. He chose to rest. His time is over. This mask remains, but it will not be his tool again. The aliens murmured among themselves. Fear slowly faded, replaced with wonder. They had seen what no generation before them had witnessed, a human standing where kings had fallen. Myra and Tamash stood beside Aaron, their faces tired but proud. Myra whispered, "You did it. You ended it without becoming him." Aaron looked at the mask in his hands. Its glow flickered softly, as though waiting. "I do not know what I ended," he said quietly. "But I know this: whatever comes next, it will not be ruled by fear." The desert wind carried his words across the dunes. The armies lowered their weapons. The curse that had haunted them for centuries was broken, not by destruction, but by choice. Aaron lifted his eyes to the horizon, the sun rising over the endless sands. The gold mask of the forgotten pharaoh was no longer a prison. It was a reminder that even the oldest powers could be challenged, and that sometimes, the strongest throne was the courage of a single human who refused to bow.